Okay. I pretty much kind of can. I think I can. Actually, I know I can. Call myself the king of Speedlight mods. I've made more than anybody else. I've used more than anybody else. You take all the YouTubers combined, and I've definitely tried out more Speedlight mods than all of them. I've invented more than all of them. What are some of the top Speedlight mods? The mistake everybody makes, mistake number one, really stupid mistake. It doesn't matter what Speedlight it is, Godox, Nikon Speedlight, and of course of course there's rechargeable lithium packs like on the 860 version of this. They take 4 AA batteries. We'll think, well, you know, if I'm going to do an event, I just need a pocket full of AA batteries. That'll solve it. No, it won't, because there's only so fast that energy can be sucked from these 4 AA batteries and dropped to the capacitors to drop a charge out of the xenon tube for your flash photography. A lot of people don't understand why when it comes to event photography and the wedding event, not in the chapel where you don't use a speedlight for obvious reasons, but countless things where the crap is going down and you want to stick your camera in continuous low or continuous high and you want to machine gun out some shots with fill flash, or it's just too dark and you need to use a speedlight. A pocket full of batteries isn't going to help you any, because your speedlight's going to tell you to go F yourself. Your speedlight's going to tell you to go F yourself because it's still trying to recharge the capacitor. And this is why you need to buy one of these damn things. Now, I use the quantum packs, which, by the way, are really expensive. And it's the same thing as this, except a lot more powerful, and it's made a lot better. But these are great. There's not too many instances, or I've ever heard, of these failing. It's the PB960. This is the, you need to buy the cable, too. If you're going to use a Godox Speedlight, it actually takes the Canon cable. There are different cables. There's a specific cable that feeds Canon and Nikon and Sony. It's a different configuration. The one that actually feeds all the Godox Speedlights is a Canon connector, and this little cable's $10. The PB960, I believe, is, what are they, $130 now? You plug this right into the front, you turn it on, you actually wear this like a little purse on your shoulder or at a clip. And what this lets you do is lets you boom, 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 much faster than I can snap my fingers. Hit it and drop the light on your subject when the action happens and you're waiting on. You missed the moment. Great, you took one shot. Now there's a bunch of other shots you want to take. Your speedlight tells you to go screw yourself because it can't recharge the capacitors that fast. Now you still need 4 AA batteries when you're using a power pack like this, because those AA batteries actually control the computer and the calculations actually inside the speedlight. What this does is it very, very quickly, basically instantly, recharges the capacitor, unlike this PB960 or even the Quantum Turbo Pack on a full blast charge power on most speedlights, which is guide number 90 on most speedlights like this. Recharge time on full power is a second or less. But most of the time you're not shooting at full power, so recharge is essentially instantaneous. It's not instantaneous, but from your perception, it is, and it lets you machine gun out the shots out of your speedlight. And that's what this front connector is for on Nikon Speedlights and Canon and Sony and Godox, yada, yada, yada. Because every professional knows that a bag full of AA batteries is not going to cut it. All that's going to do is infuriate you, because that doesn't help you repetitively hit the shot or hit your subject with the lighting required. The second most important mod, actually I would actually say my lighting mod over here, but you may not want to build that. I built more than a few of these myself. I also use them for on the end of my fiber optic lighting for macro, because the first thing in photography, obviously, not ignoring composition and all the other obvious stuff, is lighting. And then that's the first mistake people make, because then they get into lighting, which is incredibly important, but then they forget about lighting control. You know, you could have the fastest Lamborghini. Remember that guy that died that used to be on Fast and the Furious? And he drove that super hot, super fast car, and he really didn't know how to control that super fast super beast. And he ended up, you know, dying instantly at like 150 miles. Control. It's like you can have the power, but if you don't have the control, people will just take a dump on the shot with a bunch of lights. Like, oh yeah, it's all sharp and perfectly exposed, but there's no lighting control. Everything looks flat. There's no definition. There's no exchange between specular highlights, midtones, and shadows. There's give you no definition. You didn't sculpt the light to accentuate the subject shot. And everything is about lighting control. Once you get the lighting, then you need to learn lighting control. I actually buy these. These are 5 3/4 inch jumbo straight straws. I actually will wrap these with duct tape or electrical tape. You need to make sure they're black straws and not white for obvious reasons, because the speedlight or the illumination you're dropping through there is going to be transformed into whatever color the straws are, so you buy black straws like this. What this does is it gives you pure isolation of your subject. I'll actually put fiber optic strands on the end of these, and I'll actually use this for super precision lighting of macro and product photography. Very, very important, incredibly useful. Everything in product photography as well as all photography is lighting. Here, this is really important. You know what? There's another YouTube photography channel I'll talk about this. First it's lighting, then it's lighting control, and then it's layering of your lighting. Those are the 3 stages of photographic lighting perfection, and no one has ever made a video about that fact. Let me repeat that again. The 3 most important stages of photography is lighting, lighting control, right? It's kind of like having a wild horse, right? It's like, hey, I got the power here. It's like, yeah, but you can't stay on the horse because it's crazy. You know, you have to have a break a horse, and then you control it, and it actually tells, you know, you tell the damn horse where the hell to go, and it doesn't buck you off and, you know, kick you in the face and stuff like that. Control, right? First you got the horse, then you got to break the horse. I mean, tame it, right? Same thing with lighting. Step 3 is layering that lighting. Expose for your ambient however you want. Layer your first layer for your main subject lighting, then give definition lighting, then like hair lighting, depending on what it is you're shooting. Hair lighting, edge lighting, flesh out or remove, depending on what it is you want the shot to look like, the shadows. Anyway, I've always got a bunch of these straws for making snoots. And this is actually what you should buy. Instead of making them yourself, you don't actually have to buy straws like this, because I make my own light mods. But I mean, I'll even buy these. These are Honeycomb Grids. You can actually see, you can get them in different degrees. You can go from 3 degrees to 10 to 30. Get the smallest degree available, which is usually a 5 or 10 degree. You see this? Now you can see my face. Now you can't. I made them here and actually put a diffusion grid on the other end. You'll believe the amount of control you actually get with one of these. So incredibly useful. What you do is just mount this on the end of your speedlight. If I can pop it on here one-handed, or close enough. I made these out of laminated cardboard. They last really almost indefinitely. And you've got a lot of lighting control. Let me do a pulse here. There we go. Okay, now you can see it. Can't see it, can't see it, can't see it, can't see it. I think you know what lighting control is. Do I have to define that? I mean, I know you're a lot smarter than that. I don't need to define what lighting control is. But grab one of these grids. This is why every professional photographer has a crap load of Velcro around the head of their speedlight. That's because they're always attaching lighting mods and lighting control devices. The first thing you see is someone will use like a diffuser. And a diffuser is great. It's like, oh, you're great, mate. Everything nice and soft. And there's no definition given to the shot. You know, there's a complete loss between midtones and highlights and shadow. You just barfed everything with light. Blech. Well, it's like, well, great, you know, it's perfectly exposed. You got great color saturation exposed to the right. You got great tonality, but everything looks flat. The reason why everything looks flat, because when you look at the subject that you've illuminated because you barfed on it with light, bleh. That's what everybody does. You'll see this on their camera like this. Look, they're gonna mount. Just be like, there we go. I'm gonna take some shots. Let me stick this damn speedlight on the camera and lock it down. This is a great camera too. It's got nothing in it. This is an XT2 body, but bleh. there's no shadows. There's no highlights. It's all wham. It's evenly illuminated. You just barfed on it with light. It's like, yay, the exposure is perfect. The tonality is perfect. The saturation is great, but it's flat. As flat as Keira Knightley's chest. That's pretty flat. Did I say it? I am going to edit that out of this video. I'm going to edit that out of this video. Lighting control. These are only like $10. Everybody should buy a Honeycomb Grid for their speedlight. This is really hard. Watch closely. You go like this. Boom. That was pretty tough. Look. Everybody should have a couple of these. I think I got like 8 of them. And then I've got like a half a dozen more ones I made myself with these straws. But You know, for $10, just buy one on eBay, because I know most of you are too lazy to make your own. Most of you are too lazy to make your own light mods. Let's be honest, you are. Nobody's lazier than I am. Well, that's not true, actually. I met some people that are in good shape. It's like, this person is in good shape. They're like way lazier than I am. I don't understand how that even works. So power pack, a honeycomb grid snoot, and the best thing in the world is this hook and loop stuff. I'd like to use the word V. I already said it. The company doesn't like you using their brand name, you know, the hook and loop stuff. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's another one I use the piss out of, and most of you I know are not macro and product photographers. Is this mounts on the end of the Speedlight, obviously, and this is a 2mm fiber optic. I think I got like 15 strands here. Let me point this at a light source so you can see what I'm talking about. Like over here. Let me point this end. You see that? I think it should be readily apparent. Yeah. Let me point it directly at the camera. You see? Let me see. Let me take my hand away. I know you can see that. Yeah, I know you can see that. Very, very useful. And I use this as isolation too to keep light from spilling. Everything is about lighting control. That's the first thing everybody makes. I like my horse analogy. It's like, I need lighting. It's like, you do need lighting. Lighting is like, you could do 1,000 times more with a crap lens and some good lighting than you can with the best lens in the world and no lighting. Because then you're a slave to ambient lighting. When you're a slave to ambient lighting, then you're putzing around with amateur photography. Lighting control. The horse analogy is perfect. I got the horsey. It's like, now you need to break it. You need to tame it. Because now you got the power, you got the horse, but the horse doesn't listen to you. It's just all over the place. It's going to kick you off and, you know, kick you in the face. Because horses are big, stupid animals. You got to break it. Then it's useful. Same thing is true with lighting. You have to corral it and control it. If you just barf on, and it really is a funny yet extremely accurate way to describe it, because people get a Speedlight. I talked to a person today, he needed some help. I was like, I already know what you're doing. You got the lighting, but it's just barfing over everything. Blech. Nothing is here on the Speedlight. You know, they're using a diffuser at most. They're bouncing it off a white box for product. That's fine. You know, if that's what the client wants, that's fine. But when you barf over everything with light, then it's like, yeah, it's missing something. The je ne sais quoi is not there. It's got the saturation, it's got the sharpness, it's got the tonality, but what you've done is you've eliminated all the characteristics out of something. Kind of like when you bleach something. You know what happens when you boil chicken? Here's a perfect example. When you don't use light control, it's like boiling chicken. You boil all the flavor out of it. I'll never forget the one time when my grandmother made boiled chicken. It was perfectly cooked, and it was juicy, of course, but it was bleh! It's just horrible. That's what happens when you use a Speedlight or a studio strobe without lighting control. You know, you need to give definition to stuff. It's about light layering. This isn't my premise either. I mean, this is what was taught by who I consider to be the best photographer. He's dead now of cancer, Dean Collins. All about layering of light. Expose for your ambient, raise your subject up, and then add in the different layers. That is the easiest and best way to learn lighting control for professional photography. And by the way, what I just said, there's not a single YouTuber or any photographer on earth that's going to say, you know, I hate that guy, you know, but everything he said in this video is 100% accurate. And I'm talking about this video right here. You know, this video is not up for contention. Lighting, control of that lighting, and then the layering of that lighting. You really do need to think of it that way when you don't use a lighting control device. If you want to flesh everything with light, that's what you want, that's fine. Whatever you want is fine. If that's what the client wants for the product photography, that's fine too. Yeah, but just barfing on everything with a lot of light, that only solves saturation and tonality. It doesn't solve the sculpting of the light, which give character and definition. You know, really, I want even a better analogy, and then I'm going to shut the hell up. Is that using a Speedlight or studio strobe without lighting control is like a line drawing, and when you actually have lighting control and you layer the light, And I know most people don't have the situation to layer the light out in the field. You can use your ambient and then you add in your fill flash with control. That is layered lighting. It's two forms, two sources of lighting. It's I kind of lost my analogy. It's like a shade. There we go. The shading of a drawing. You know, just blasting with light is like a line drawing, whereas layering and controlling the light is adding in the shading. Because I don't know if I grew up kind of drawing. I'm not that good at drawing. I'm better than a lot of people, but you know, that's what gives the definition and character. When you're going to draw someone's face, you'll do like a rough pencil sketch of the geometry of a person's face and nose. Then they'll draw in the finer line, the harsher lines that you know, define the shape of the nose and the eye and whatnot. It's like, well, that's great, but I mean, that shading, both lighter towards darker, that tonality, I mean, that is the lighting control that gives, you know, makes the shot come alive. By the way, everybody keeps asking me. I found this in my library. This is a relatively, well, it's not that old of a book, but you want it best. Everybody keeps asking me, like, what's the number one book I should buy? Like, anybody, no matter what their skill level, too, will actually find inspiration in this. So this is a book. There's tons of used copies out there. I recommend buying this book. I found this buried in my library. I thought I'd come out with it because I said self. I said yes, self. Everybody keeps asking about like a great first-time book to buy for photography, and this would be like number one. And even if you're skilled at photography, you'd actually still get inspirational tips out of this book. He's actually a really good author, and he's written, oh God, like 25 books. At least 25 books on photography. Really, really good author. Actually, he's the best. Other than Dean Collins, I mean, expert on lighting would be Dean Collins and others, but he's the best general author of books on photography. You know, buy that book. Don't buy the book from, you know, that other YouTuber that's always pimping his books. You know exactly who I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos, if you do, you can always click on the link below. Everything I said in this video is 100% valid and undeniable by anybody. Period. There's no chance in hell they're going to deny it. Thank you, and like I said, if you like the videos, click the link below. Any little bit and thing helps. And I should not have eaten that beef brisket because right now it is murdering my stomach. Beef brisket. Don't eat beef brisket ever again. Don't do it. Note to self, don't eat beef brisket ever again.